So I moved from online copywriting to getting the most fancy title I ever had. I was head of usability excellence. The reason why I was head of usability is the head of usability center of excellence. And the reason why I was the center of excellence was, of all the 800 people in the organization, across like 20 offices across Europe, I had a student assistant. And everybody else doing usability was just one person. So that was fine for a while, but the challenge was that I got really frustrated because I think doing usability in that sense, it was being the ambassador for the users, and that's nice, but if nobody's the ambassador for the business, then it's not really a fair equation. So I started looking into values of how can you drive the value of analytics, and that was kind of the beginning of my career into data. So how do you measure the success of a business platform or on a website? And in that sense, I'm a irregular analyst. Like most of the people here, especially my generation, we are a ragtag bunch of people who happen to be at a place at a time. There's absolutely no system. Miko, what's your background?
History and writing.
Exactly, right? I studied corporate communications, and if you go around, I think Simo studied classical language, English language,
Yeah.
right? So there's absolutely no clear pattern. So the people coming now actually have a point, and they understood this as a career choice or have an idea of this going on before they started. But the first thing in this, and this is kind of the big question, right? So in Alice in Wonderland, she walked down the road and she meets the Cheshire Cat. And the cat looks at her and then she says, hey, she comes to a fork in the road. And at the fork in the road, there's this cat, and she says, hey cat, which road should I take? And that's kind of the session today, because the cat's answer is, well, it depends on where you want to go. And when she replies, I don't know, cat says, well, it doesn't matter what road you take. And this is kind of not to tell you what road to take, but to make you aware of where the roads can take you, right? So this is kind of the core idea of saying, I'm not going to tell you do this and you will be successful. It's more about showing you some of the options and choices that are facing you in relation to building your analytics. And in most cases, this is probably the key slide, because it's about you.
Do you want me to get it?
Right? So the session is really, it's the most evil questions I've asked anybody working in analytics. It's,
I don't care.
why did anybody hire you? Why would anybody hire you? And that's kind of the core question, because even though it sounds harsh, it's why does anybody hire anybody? Okay? And it's a really simple answer. They hire somebody because they think that person will contribute more value to the business than somebody else. That's kind of the core thing. And for a lot of us in analytics, and this is based on 20 years of experience now, right? We don't really bother about showing the value we bring to the business. Right? Kind of in a lot of organizations, the safest job is being the analyst, right? Because nobody's gonna fire the analyst, because then they're not data driven. And they don't really know what you're doing, so as long as you make the reports on time and don't have too many errors in them, it's probably the safest career path in the world. Like if you don't stick your neck out, nobody's gonna cut it off, right? And then you can do the work, but that is a choice, right? That is actually an option to go and do that, but it's really focusing on what value do we bring the business. And it's a question we don't ask enough. Why did anybody hire us? And what value did I contribute to the business today? And it doesn't matter if I'm a programmer or an analyst or whatever. Did I contribute value to the business today? Would I hire somebody, if I had this business, would I hire somebody and give them the same paycheck to do what I'm doing? Right? And that's a really tough question, and I don't expect to see any fingers raised and say, well, not really. This is a question you can ask yourself, because this is really what will determine your trajectory. Saying the amount of value you bring to the business, that you illustrate that you bring to the business, or the company understands that you bring to the business. So I'm coming from IIS Nordic, and then and for us, one of the ways that we try to do this and show the value and the contribution of this is basically going in and thinking a different way. We were looking at all this data we had available and saying, okay, there's so much data for the organization, what can we do differently? So in 2014, we started a project that ended with us in 2017 being able to go to a 4-day work week with full pay, 30 hours. And that is the value of data, that is the potential of the insight that you have available to deliver to the organization. Not necessarily a 4-day work week, but an understanding of the value of data. Because what we did is we looked at how we were working, we gathered the data, we looked at it, and we understood how to change the processes. So what happened was that the first year, our